No more of that. There's more to me than that. I want either the better jobs, or I'm going to go and do my own thing.
Was it at that point that you said entrepreneurship is the only way?
Well, I always wanted a business, always. I had a mentor when I was younger who didn't even know he was a mentor to me. And I think that's the best type, to be honest. Yeah. He'd give me snippets of wisdom, and I'd say, oh, that's great. I'm taking that in. And I think because he saw that I was absorbing that information, he'd give me even more. So I always wanted to have a model shop, radio controlled models, so aeroplanes, helicopters, radio controlled cars, all that sort of thing. Very into it as a youngster. And wherever I looked, I couldn't find a complete model shop that sold everything to do with models. So that was the plan. So I drew up a business plan. It took me ages. I mean, no one knows how to do that sort of thing, do they?
Yeah. Especially back in the day.
Yeah, never taught.
What year was this? Just so we can give the audience a perspective.
It's very hard to give years.
70s, 80s?
80s,
This is in the 80s?
Probably 88, around that sort of area. Around that sort of area anyway.
Okay.
And you made a good point about mentors. How did you find your mentor?
He found me. He found me. I think what a lot of youngsters nowadays don't do, they don't put themselves out there. I was involved with a model flying club, and obviously not many youngsters were involved with that. It was mostly adults. So I think if you can get involved with anything like, I don't know, just caddying at a golf club or anything like that, you get to speak to the older generation, shall we say, and if you're there to absorb information, people want to give information, and absorb it, because you'll get even more. And it's priceless, really. Just for your confidence as much as anything. I mean, because a lot of people struggle to talk. Well, certainly youngsters I speak to struggle to talk to the older generation, or people maybe in authority, and that comes across particularly in interviews and things like that. It's sort of like, would you like to ask me some questions? It's like, oh, it's very difficult for them. So I think confidence is a big thing. It can get you a long way in life, that's for sure.
So, because that's an interesting hobby. It's something that you don't see that much nowadays. These Gen Zers don't have, constructive hobbies like that anymore. Building ships, and you said model cars and airplanes. So that's how you found your mentor. Did he run one of these shops?
No, he didn't run a shop. He was basically a member of the club. He owned his own business, which was a building firm, so construction.
Okay.
And he always had I always say, a bit of money on his hip, always had a nice new car, always had the best models in the club. And you thought, well, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Right.
He's got the gear, he's got the money, he's got the life, plenty of holidays and all that sort of thing. And that was all alien to me. I never had any of that. I'm not saying I had a poor upbringing, because I certainly didn't. I enjoyed my childhood, as I know you did. I had two very strong parents. But, it wasn't a high net worth.
So he made it possible for you by seeing his lifestyle. Kind of like the modern day Andrew Tate. It's possible by seeing somebody do it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you met him, because there was no social media, there was no LinkedIn or whatever. You met him through a hobby.
Exactly.
Because those are collectibles. Like, do they still hold value nowadays? Like, as far as like these model planes and cars and stuff like that, is it from an antique standpoint? Or?
Well, it's still value in, obviously, design in manufacturing, as I do, which we'll get onto, no doubt, and selling, because my businesses are still involved in all of that sort of thing. In fact, I'm going to an event called Miami Jets in about 3 days' time, and that's radio-controlled model jets, and they cost upwards of £20,000-30,000 a piece. So, that's going on locally to here, and I shall meet up. I certainly know there's 4, maybe 5 people that I'll meet that I know, and it's such a global thing.
So that's smart. He joined a club, or you could say a hobby, that has many people that, for example, in that area would be successful or have money, because that's a very, I want to say, rich or affluent hobby to have.
Yeah, and you're around older individuals as well. It's a good screening tool.
It's good for networking too.
Yeah,
no,
really especially before social media.
Yeah,
just as golf is as well.
Yes,
because most golf clubs, as a youngster, you'll get in for very, very cheap money. Once you're a member in there, you talk to a lot of high net worth individuals.
Absolutely.
So and that's going to levitate you, isn't it? Because you're going to get an abundance mindset. Once you've got an abundance mindset, there's no limit, there's no cap to what you can earn if you want to do that.
So So take us through how you started your first business with your mentor along your side.
Well, my first business, I mean, he showed me how to do a business plan, so we went through that. It took me a long, long time, lots of thought, lots of work, took it to the bank, made an appointment to see the bank manager, waited, I think it's something like a month and a half for this appointment. It took a long time, went in there, and he turned me down flat.
Wow.
Absolutely flat. I mean, I only think he gave me 10 minutes, of which he was paying attention for the first 30 seconds. He just could not be bothered with us, and it was more like a duty that you had to do these appointments. Now, I came out of that branch of that bank, and I was faced really with two decisions. I actually stood there and thought, what can I do? You know, is my dream gone? You know, because it could have been at that point, or do I continue and try and find someone else? Now, I could have turned right, could have turned left. I decided to turn right. I walked past the next bank, which was next door, and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to give it a go. So I went straight in there. I said, I've got an appointment to see the manager at 11 o'clock. She said, you're not on the list. I went, well, yeah, it's 5 to 11. I'm a bit early. And she said, well, he is free, but you're not on the list. I said, no, you've made a mistake. Went in there, secured the loan.
Nice.
Wow.
The manager actually said to me, he said, right, I believe in youngsters, and I believe in what you're going to do. The preparation's great, and I'll be your first customer.
That's amazing.
What a difference.
Wow.
So the first person you spoke to, was he like a loan officer or something, or was it?
He was he was the manager of, I won't say the branch, but or the bank itself, but he was the manager of that bank. And in those days, the manager had leeway to lend what he needed to lend to whoever he wanted to lend it to.
So did you go to like another bank, or did you go to the same bank?
Literally turned right, the next bank down the street. That's the one I walked into.
And then you just said, hey, I'm here to talk to, okay.
Yeah, just blagged it.
Fuck it, that's nice, man. And it was to get a business loan. How much did they give you?
It was £22,000, which back in the day when we got £2 to the dollar was about £44,000.
Yeah,
so
that's
dollars.
a lot.
40 to 50K in today's dollars. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you told them the business plan, what did you tell them specifically that you think got you the loan?
I think the confidence. He knew I'd blagged at the meeting, and he thought that was quite good. I think that was. It sort of reminds me a bit, Suits, the start of the program Suits, where he goes in and blags a meeting. It was a bit like that, and I think he respected that, and he went, this guy's going to go out and do something. If you've got the nerve to come in and blag a meeting with me, and the plan looks good, we'll go with it.
Question for you: looking back, this is 30 plus years ago now. At this point, right? Looking back, what were the differences between the first discussion where you got declined versus the second one where you got approved? What was some of the main... Well, obviously we talked about the confidence factor. Was there anything else?
I wouldn't say there was any difference from myself. I would say there was already a predetermined answer from the first one.
Okay.
And the second one, I think he had a certain amount that he had to lend out to start up businesses. And remember, back in the day, if you wanted to sell a product, it wasn't like it is today where you can do it online or all that sort of stuff. Literally, you had to have a shop.
Yeah, brick and mortar businesses.
You had to buy lots of stock.
Yeah.
You have to have everything to be able to start up, which was quite a big step then. I mean, it seemed like a big deal as well at the time, but when you look back, when you're young, you can take so many risks and it doesn't matter because, at the end of the day, you might take an L on it or whatever, but really you're going to win because the lesson you've learned, even from a loss when you're 20 years old, is nothing.
Yeah.
I'm taking away never give up. And even though you take L's, like you said before, if you don't give up, you keep trying, things can happen for you. Now, you mentioned as well having the mentor, but also in this case, did you know back then, because you're a legit millionaire now, did you know back then you were going to be a millionaire when you were younger?
Well, we actually did a video just recently. When I was at school, 14 years old, we were all put into a lecture theatre, and we put this in the video, actually. It's quite strange. And they said, write down the 3 things you're going to have. And I wrote down, I'm going to be a millionaire.
Wow.
I'm going to have a Ferrari. And then he said house. I put mansion. And then the next thing the teacher said was, right, and this was everything. They don't know what you've written down, but they just looked at everyone and said, look, let's be realistic. Most of you can have none of that stuff.
Wow, yeah. See?
Yeah.
None of it. And And I'm sure that is to push you down while you're in the school system.
Of course.
Because they don't want you being entrepreneurial. They want you to, it don't matter what shape you go into school at, you might be triangle or rectangle, whatever shape it is, you've got to come out as a cog to fit in the machine.
Absolutely. You got to become a disposable part.
Yeah, and the longer you're in the system, in my opinion, the more a cog shape you become,
Yeah.
and the harder it is for you to actually change that shape going forward.
I agree.
Because once you're locked into a really comfortable job, and the danger is in the word comfortable, that's it.
Yeah.
You're there. I know you were in a very secure job.
Yeah.
And I'm
was scary
guessing
to
that
leave.
was really hard.
It was very difficult to leave. Most people never leave a comfortable government job making six figures with a pension and retirement and everything.
That's what everyone says, isn't it? I've got friends in jobs, in government-style jobs, and I say, why'd you do it? You're more than this. And they go, oh, the pension. I went, if I'm going to have to work the whole of my life till I get to 66, 68, just because it's a good pension at the end, well, that's not for me.
Yeah.
I can make that pension myself. That freedom figure can come a lot sooner if I'm doing it than way back then.
But there's
Absolutely.
a common trend here I see with millionaires. They believe in themselves from the very beginning. There's a level of like, okay, you know what? I know who I am or what I'm about. And even though I might not get the answer today, eventually I'll get there. So the belief is very important.
So